are here for the launch of FutureMe Cayman. And you can see that's the brand, that's the name and the brand that we have chosen. Before I get into some of my remarks, I'd like to begin by recognizing and extending a warm welcome to our distinguished guests. I think we have distinguished guests, and that is the Honorable Michael Miles, MP, Minister for Caymanian Employment and Immigration. Please welcome Mr. Miles. Okay, so talk a little bit about why we're here. What is it? What is FutureMe Cayman? So this application, which is designed to enable young Caymanians and those considering career change, to enable them to evaluate what opportunities exist, what qualifications are going to be required in order to take advantage of that opportunity, and what is the projected quality of life outcomes connected to each of those opportunities. On the first point, FutureMe Cayman will leverage real Cayman Islands data provided on an ongoing basis by work and its labor market demand unit. On the last point, again, FutureMe Cayman will leverage real Cayman Islands data provided by work and through its labor market demand unit, and also by the Economic and Statistics Office. So, real information on what cost of living, projected salary and escalation, and other kind of lifestyle and quality of life markers, like do you want to have a family, do you want to drive a nice car, these kinds of things. Information that you can plug in that will allow users to connect their choices or their options to real personal life and lifestyle plans, so that they can assess will their preferred career choice deliver their desired outcome. So essentially, FutureMe Cayman will help Caymanians make informed decisions based on real local data, maximizing their prospects of career success and life satisfaction. A little bit of history about how we got here. There was the hackathon. So on the 11th of October, following a series of preparatory Enterprise Cayman sandbox sessions, and as part of Tech Futures Week 2025, 8 teams showed up to meet the challenge to design and prototype a digital platform that connects lifestyle aspirations with career opportunities and financial realities in the Cayman Islands. Thank you to all that participated on that day. So Mary Davies and Shannon Williams, who created the winning solution, Stuart Reevely and Stephen Tavois of the Cayman Islands Computer Science Society for leading the preparatory sessions and the hackathon. And I note that this team was joined by David Manicherry, David, and Anton Levaha, also of the CICSS, and in preparation for launch. So there was a lot of work that went into developing the app that was produced on the hackathon day and getting it ready for the launch today. And then also thank you to Ronaldo Fletcher, Ashima Edwards, Sachelle Ricketts, and Alyssa Manderson for serving as judges on the day. And so here we are at the launch. At some point during the planning of Tech Futures Week, the team from Work, CC, Enterprise Cayman, and the CICSS met with Minister Miles and his team to discuss our plans, including what was proposed as one of the real tangible outcomes of the week, being what is now the FutureMe application, FutureMe Cayman application. At that meeting, Minister Miles asked us when we expected to bring the application online, and we committed to have it available by the end of the year. And so here we are. So on behalf of the hardworking parties already mentioned, we are very proud to be launching today this excellent public-private partnership product, FutureMe Cayman. interactive demo. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Sure. So FutureMe Cayman, the mission that we started with was, where are you now and where do you want to go? And how are you going to get there? Oh, am I doing this one well? Okay. So imagine yourself a young graduate of Caymanian school. You've got a career, but you're not sure what you want to do. You don't know what kind of lifestyle you want. Or maybe you do. Where do you start? What are you qualified for? And how do you get there? This is what FutureMe aims to solve.
And another thing that we noticed were, like, there's a lot of solutions out there. Like, for example, you have job boards, right? You have recruitment agencies, you have generic platforms. But the thing with all of them are, it only solves one thing. It doesn't help you the entire process, essentially. So, for example, for job boards, it's basically, here's the jobs you can get. And then recruitment agencies, they help you get placed somewhere. That's nice. And then you have platforms like LinkedIn and Indeed. It's just another platform. They're all pretty much the same, very small nuances, small differences. But it's just, here's the jobs and here's what you can go for. So, another problem we discovered were it's missing a lot of the localization. So for example, you have jobs locally, but then you need to find out as a student, okay, what are the training paths that I need to take to get there? What are the scholarship opportunities that I need to go to get this job? And essentially, these are the questions that popped up during the hackathon and kind of inspired this solution to me. So with that said, we also found another set of skills that students were missing. You know, for example, a lot of the times there's soft skills involved. A lot of times the students don't really realize this is the case. And these are the type of things you don't really learn until you have like an internship, for example. And not every student has a chance to get an internship. So what this platform is going to help with, it's going to help level the playing field. All students have an equal opportunity to get assessed and to get training on these skills. Technical mastery, problem solving, interpersonal, and self-management.
So we modeled our approach to this project on Tanika, who's an 18-year-old. She dreams of becoming an attorney. She's got no clear path to her career and no experience. With FutureMe, she can explore different careers. She can find a career pathway. She can explore the education she needs, and she can also look at jobs that, based on the 5 C's that the critical mastery skills. She can look at jobs that are transferable. So if she wants to be an attorney, maybe she can start as an assistant in a law office to learn some of the things that attorneys do and get a better sense of the job that she's after.
And just a little bit on how we solve this. So the FutureMe platform, again, is not just another job board application. It's what you want to do as a career and exactly how can you get there. And so what that took was it took a lot of the local data that was out there, so the ESO, work website, and even Cayman resident. We took the data to understand the job market and also tie that data into one unified app. And then of course we used AI to help us build the app and to actually process and understand the data. So again, we used work website, we used the ESO office, and we used Cayman resident to tie the job market, the lifestyle data, and the reports as well from the ESO office to kind of really gauge, you know, this job with this salary, actually what kind of lifestyle can you actually live? that said, now the exciting part. So what you see here is essentially the marketplace. When you land on this page here, this is basically the first step you would go to. You have your job and you want to see, you want to explore what's out there, what can you do. So I'll just use me as an example, right? I'm a software developer. So I'll type in software developer, I want to see what's out there. When I was young, this is the type of thing I would Google almost every week. And when I'm here looking at the jobs, I can see the level. So the career level for this job is a senior. You can see a trend. So in other words, a trend on like how many job postings of the same career has been posted recently. And then you can see funding opportunities. So for example, for all the scholarship opportunities out here on the island, you can basically just get a quick snapshot on what's possible and what you can apply for. And again, you have the Cayman lifestyle as a summary here. And one thing that you can do too as well is you can have like a snapshot on the career path you can have here on island. So for example, at an entry level, you can start as a trainee or an intern, right? And then it's quite small, but it also shows you the jobs that have this available. You go down, you can see at a mid-level, just zoom here, you can see the type of jobs you can get. So it shows you a transition in the map from entry level to mid-level and then senior level roles. And with that said, I'll just go on ahead and jump into an assessment. So I'll go ahead and begin this assessment. And again, what this will help do is test the soft skills. And what you see here is for each occupation, you have a specific scenario. And for each scenario, you're going to have a question for each of the soft skills. So in this case, you have the technical mastery. Below you have the problem solving, interpersonal, and then self-management. I'm not going to actually answer this because I'll make myself look bad, but I'll go ahead and put this in with some demo answers, submit the assessment. Just going to wait for AI to do its thing. And here we go. Basically, what you're looking at here is basically the results from AI marking your assessment. So the green field is essentially what what the job expects you to have in terms of the soft skills. And the purple is my score. So you can see that I didn't do a good job. And then you have the table breakdowns and a review. You have a generic training roadmap on the skills that I need to brush up on. And again, it shows you your largest gap. In this case, I'm going to be a software engineer, but my biggest gap is technical mastery, which is expected as a student. And then also, this section matches my qualifications. Now, I didn't show that yet, but I will soon. But essentially, I've uploaded my qualification. So in other words, like my resume or my LinkedIn profile. And you can see my requirements are met. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science. And in terms of my qualifications, my critical gaps to address is basically none. Okay, because I actually did went to school and got my bachelor's degree, so pretty good here. And then another feature of this page is, in addition to the gaps that you have, it'll show you the entry-level positions you can get to kind of enhance those skills. So again, this is not the full data set, just for the purpose of the demo. But here you can see that the same trainee and intern job is a pretty good foot in the door, if you want to call it that. And again, you have the same career pathway, it's the same tree to show you what's possible. And then you have the actual explanation on the scores that you got for this assessment. And that's pretty much it for the assessment part. Now, what I want to show you is again the credentials part. This is what I uploaded before. This is, for example, if I delete this. Go ahead, I'm going to upload my resume. cool about this is you don't have to manually typing everything one by one. Instead, you can just upload your resume. It'll use AI, extract the data, and just populate it in your profile for you.
Nice. Very nice.
Then the next page is essentially the lifestyle page. So here you basically have a breakdown of like, you're living below standard, have a basic stability, and again it gives you a rough estimate and a range. So for example, you click on basic stability, it gives you like, an average of your budget and what that would look like every month. And then of course, it's going to show you, or it's going to give you the option to add children. If you want to add more child, you can see the value just updated your automatically. And that's a big jump, right?
That's a big expense.
Yeah, big expense. And again, if you want a more breakdown of the data, basically this is the data from Cayman resident. You can actually see what we've used as reference to come up with these calculations. And then we have another page for scholarships. And again, this is another section that's always going to be updated. So this is like a one-stop page for all the scholarships you can find on Ireland. And yeah, it just makes it easy. As a student, one of the questions I had was, what are the scholarships out there? Where can I find it? And I literally told my teacher, like, there's no funding opportunities for me to go away for school. And I can tell you one is called me stupid, but he said, nah. And he had to sit down with me and show me the actual different websites. So I'm grateful for that. And of course, again, with the assessments, it's not a one-time thing. You want to do it periodically to kind of gauge your growth. And so from this page, it's just a history of all your assessments, and you can go ahead and view like this one I just did. You go ahead and you can view the same full report. So nothing fancy about that one. And that is it in terms of the interactive demo. Before we jump into the rest of the presentation, was there any questions?
I suppose the job style board information and the scholarships and internships, where is that being pulled from? Is that by default any company registered in Cayman and they have something on their own website, it will flow into the board, or do you have agreements with certain companies?
Good question. So right now, it's data that we collected from the websites themselves. We're going to touch on that later in the presentation. But there's different ways you can do it. Like you can directly speak with the companies themselves, for example. But right now, we're collecting the data from the websites. And my favorite part is we can use AI agents to kind of automate that. So, yeah. Does that answer the question? Cool. So, jump back on. You want to press on two or?
You do this one and I'll do the rest.
Okay. So what is next? What you're looking at here is just the foundation, right? The basic version. What we'd like to see this platform turn into is essentially a solution that completes the full cycle. You have employers looking for people to hire, you have people looking for job, and it's also on the job market. So if you have this platform which is tailored towards students looking to find their career dream, their career job, and how to get there, eventually we could also integrate with employers to get their input and investment to this platform to further improve it so they get an insight as well as to what people are looking for, what talent pool is out there, and how, in other words, can we groom them, for example, to get the job and come work for our company. So that's one. Next thing is this is a good candidate to implement AI, because believe it or not, it is a lot of data wrangling involved into this application. I would say 60% of the time it's just cleaning the data, making sure it's structured, and 40% of the time it's just building the features for the application. And some things that AI agents can do is do real-time market analytics, making sure the data in the application is correct. For example, if we have links to scholarship pages, has it changed? Do we need to update it? Is it the right link? Simple things like that. And then we can do like a talent pipeline forecasting. So say you're a company and you want a short list of certain sets of students based on qualifications or their soft skills. You can get an AI agent to automatically search the database every day, let you know as soon as a new student pop up, and then you can just do whatever from there. And again, we can do more integration with different employers, and that looks different for each person. So, yeah. Was there any questions on that before I move on, or? Yeah.
I just have a question. So you said if employers want to see, would there be certain data protection issues regarding people that have input their information that then an employer can get it, or do they kind of wait?
There's definitely going to be the privacy sector part of that, like you mentioned. I'm not the legal expert, so I can't give you the full answer to that. It's not my decision at the end of the day, but it's to be discussed.
I mean, they put a disclaimer on when people put their
For
data.
Claude, yes, we did, yeah.
And we're encouraging people not to enter any personal data, anything that they wouldn't, be comfortable sharing in an open way.
So we realize that all the skills that are required to be successful in a career aren't always found on a resume or taught in schools. So we've realized that we'd like to add a feature similar to the mastery scale that we saw for the jobs that would look at soft skills. So we're thinking we could do career benchmarking, so taking different professions and evaluating the soft skills for those professions, and then having students be able to evaluate their scores on those soft skills against what it takes to succeed in the profession. We'd also like to see standardized testing possibly incorporated into the application for those students who really don't know where they want to go. Something like a Myers-Briggs test where they could get a sense of what they might be good at. And then we'd also like to be able to track progress on improving your soft skills so that you could see, similar to the assessment we did on the skills for the jobs, that my critical thinking skills have improved because I did some exercises that we recommended later on in the process. Another feature that we think the app would benefit from is an ability to assess an AI impact against different careers so that people can see where AI may occur in the future. So looking at what possibly could be automated by AI, what the risk of redundancy in different areas are, and then decide on what skills you should be focusing on, like certain professions. It's predicted that different soft skills will be more important than they are today. And then recommend a soft skill focus or mastery for that particular job.
Yeah. Another way of saying that too is when AI first became hype, a lot of people were afraid like AI is going to replace my job. But slowly people are beginning to recognize that it's not going to really replace your full job, it's going to help amplify your job. So replace the redundant tasks, and then you can focus on the more important stuff, for example, and be more productive.
And then we thought that the app could also be able to host like future-proof challenges so that you would be able to get a group together, say, to work on building an AI app. And that could be done either in person or online, but it would be something that could be coordinated through the app, which would teach soft skills and also business skills like project management, leadership, communication, creativity. And then we'd like to also be able to include mentor matching so that a student here could match with somebody local, or if there's somebody on an international scale who's interested in assisting, that would be facilitated as well.
Yeah. And this is pretty cool too, because I spoke to someone on LinkedIn recently, and apparently they have an event in Tokyo where they're looking for startups and investors, and this is the kind of thing that they actually need in the region of Tokyo. So for example, if we master that area,
seeing this as limited mostly for entry level roles for people at the beginning of their career, or are you projecting this could be a wider, more professionalised career job board?
So definitely, it's going to start tailored toward more people beginning, but definitely for everyone eventually, because at some point we're going to go through like a career transition, and a career is not going to stay the same like forever, right? So you constantly need to keep up to date with the market and kind of see what's changing, what's the trends, and then kind of prepare yourself. You know, like for example, you work in the same job, you don't do any ongoing training annually, your skills are slowly going to become updated with someone else who's done annual training. They're going to replace you essentially because you're being left behind. So yeah.
And the lifestyle piece, where are you pulling that data from, and how will you keep that data relevant with how quickly we see the job market change in terms of not just salaries but also packages? And something that I think is really important is that, you know, certain industries like wealth management or FS or banking, we might see certain slightly lower salaries, but the softer benefits in terms of level of healthcare, preferential mortgage rates, all those things that make the overall comp really attractive for young Caymanians maybe trying to get on the property ladder and stuff. That's quite difficult to account for in part of the lifestyle section. So what are the plans for keeping that up to date?
So, two or three things. First, what we do is we definitely reference the ESO office data just to get the actual numbers, and then we combine that with, you know, breakdown essentially like what you're seeing on the Cayman resident side of things. And then for ongoing, that is definitely a data intensive job, and that's where I think the power of AI can actually come in. Once we have AI agents kind of take on that role, it's going to speed up the process. We will have someone there to manually crunch numbers and verify this data 24/7. You know, wake up 15 to 30 minutes a day, you get a handful of reports, double check, you check on the quality of data, and you just make sure that it's all in good shape. But yeah, it's not an easy thing to do, but it is a good case for AI.
And on the children piece, you know, if someone's inputting family planning and how many kids they want to have, does the data, is the kind of variation in the data based on the cost of living, and is that the only thing that it varies when someone puts in how many children they want to have? And I ask that because, you know, I'm coming from a recruitment angle, and I've seen lots of young women my whole life make career compromises for kids that they don't even have yet, and actually sometimes they're making career decisions based on what will be more flexible for me, when actually we should be challenging the employer to make it more equitable for women in the workplace. So what does it vary in the search when someone puts in about having children?
So what it does is it looks at, again, there's a breakdown for children as well. So in other words, it had a breakdown for single adult and then with one child. And so we basically look at the differences, and we essentially just, you know, if you have one child, okay, add the general cost for having one child. If you have two child, multiply that by two, kind of thing.
So it's just the financials. It's not like this job is more deemed as more flexible. It's not. It's just the financials that it varies.
Correct, yeah. And again, that's subject to change based on the feedback we get and the more we work on it. But that's what it is right now.
Is the data gendered at all? Because obviously there are certain things that are, I don't know, there can be sometimes a pay gap between men and women, there can be other things, like is there anything to account for that in the data at this time?
Not right now. It's really looking at the jobs, the salary.
The bands that they're advertising.
Yeah.
The org chart of the jobs, you know, that we can go through, I noticed that had live positions. Does that stay the same and it just happens to list where similar titles are advertised on work, or will they disappear if they're not live jobs?
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy thing to change, but essentially now, yeah, it's live jobs.
Okay.
And because there's, like, if we showed everything, that graph would have just been a complete mess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we eliminate just the live data, and we also try
in there, and then some live jobs as well, rather than it disappearing. So it's hard for us to say, this is what it could look like when you're ready in a few years' time, rather than this is what it looks like today, and tomorrow it looks different when you speak to their friend in the same class or something like that. So just, if some people will be potentially using it as like that to give them inspiration for training, for thought, but it's also acting almost like a job board, and sort of maybe that might get confused for the two users coming in. Does it allow you to actually like link in to apply for those jobs, or is it just like you need to go to the workforce or to apply?
That's the plan, hopefully. That would be a really nice addition to this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. We will, in the future, we could add that where we could, expand what you can look at. But my approach, or our approach when designing this was simple first, and then you can keep drilling down into more details as needed.
Can I speak one more?
Yeah.
If the training element of it when it comes in is that minus 75, like I do love that because it gives people a real understanding that I might have this qualification, but I am missing quite a big wedge of what's required. Does it then give you more specific paths to training that's on island and like the actual courses, and how might we fit into that? So if we've got a training company or something like that, how might we add that data into them?
Good question. We would add it in a similar way we added the scholarships. So when we get enough data, essentially, we can tie that in. So, okay, this certification camp or this 1 week camp can help you improve this skill, and it's also backed. It's not just an online course you can take. No one knows about it. The company, for example, companies trust a specific vendor or teacher, for example. We could recommend that specific teacher to help you with this specific skill, and kind of guarantees you more and you'll be successful. And your employers will actually see you as a person. Yeah.
Just to add to that, for the job portal, you mentioned like we're only looking at active ones, but there's a fair amount of active ones. I think it was over 1,000, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And so it's not just like 100, it's a fairly large.
And my apologies if I missed it. What's the commercial side of it? What's your revenue model? How you going to get paid? Just curious. I know it's maybe jumping ahead too much, but where does money?
We're going to pass the hat around. The CEC is going to host that, cover the costs associated with hosting the application and making it free for all. So it's not. There is no. We're doing this through our nonprofit organization, and there is no monetization strategy or any of that sort of thing. We're putting this out there as a service to the community.
And your participation is strictly voluntary, is that?
So just really 2 quick questions. So currently it's pulling all the jobs from the work portal because everyone should be putting their jobs through local public through the work portal. That's only currently being pulled, right? Work portal jobs.
Yep.
And then that gets updated, you said every 24 hours or every week?
24 hours.
Every 24 hours, okay, cool.
It can be updated here too if like something fails, but yeah, it shouldn't be more than that.
A lot. And then my other question was for David. You mentioned something about, which I think touches to one of the other questions in terms of like benefits. Like sometimes your salary might be lower, but your benefits are fantastic. You mentioned there was like something to do with like eventually being able to compare those.
Yeah, so I worked on like it's not integrated yet, but like some proof of concept of comparing. You mentioned the benefits and comparing them. One of the things that like if you're just looking for the job portal yourself can be a little confusing, especially if there's an intern, is like some employers mention, the benefit is they give you health insurance, which good, they're following the law. That's not really a benefit, it's just the basic one. So I think it's important as like put it and we should be able to add it.
pays over 10 or 15 is.
Yeah, so if they mention it in the job posting, this is also an incentive for the employers to actually list all the benefits, because a lot of them are very vague about the benefits, which does make it hard to compare. But yeah, AI helps with that. So like, if one employer mentions we put health insurance, the other one doesn't. With AI, it's pretty easy. It's and I already have it sort of working. Is like, yeah, if it just mentions health insurance or pension or very basic things that have to be included, yeah, those shouldn't be added as an additional benefit. Yeah.
Yes.
Question. I have a, so the app itself is only as good as the information it receives, right? And so from the work portal's perspective, my understanding is there's no requirement to post local jobs, right? Or like from the user's perspective, like what's your, and maybe we're not there yet, but in terms of your plan for encouraging young people, or not just young people, but to like register and to use it, you know, I guess the rollout in that case.
So in other words, the plan is to go with it.
Yes,
I
yeah.
think we have a few people interested. Do we, Monica? Maybe we send out a survey just to get feedback on the app.
Like wide adoption, I guess.
Yeah, so in other words, a survey went out to some students to get their feedback on this app. So we're already building up interest into this. And it's going to be very clear that once student uses it, they find it beneficial, word's going to spread, and it's going to be pretty easy from there.
And then we also have the social media and
For the data that's provided by work for the job postings, it's really good. I was trying to use AI to see like how I could improve it, and to be honest, there wasn't a whole lot that like needed to be added. It's maybe the only like slight improvement is maybe, because I know it's not required, is like where the job is located. That was the only thing that I could think of that like, might help with that, but everything else like the salary, the title, the employer name, all that was already worked out, so that part's pretty good already. I don't really have much feedback except for good job.
In terms of exploring that upcoming job markets and industries, so like if somebody's sat there thinking, you know, everyone keeps talking about crypto or Web3, right? Do they have to be thinking about that and typing it and asking the question, or are they taking the assessment and then being told you're appropriate for this? If somebody's got questions about the industry makeup and opportunities broadly on the island, can they find some information about that in there?
I mean, yeah, if you go to the job marketplace, you will have manually search for a specific job to find it, right?
Okay.
But in the future, we can have a different interface where people can look at what's trending, for example, and start from that approach instead. Because everyone is a bit different. You know, you hop on, some people know exactly what they're looking for, some people are just want to explore what's out there. So that second part is something that we can add on this application.
I think that would be really helpful, because when we do a lot of career stuff with young people in Cayman, it's the same old lawyer, one work in finance, when actually the people that we speak to that are, you know, making big waves are doing totally different jobs in totally different industries. So something that highlights that to these students or young people before they even start the search would be really good to broaden up the ideas.
I think even just that cool feature that you guys have mentioned, like the little up arrow going up or down, that like this job is 25% up because there's been 25%, I don't know, the jobs have software programming. I think that's also a good thing to show. I didn't know that you guys had that. That was quite impressive. So if you were to see like, like 56% of these jobs updated have all been to do with Web3, and you're like, okay, maybe I should be looking into.
The only challenge with some of that data though is where we've got like high turnover roles in industries and markets, where you might have an inflated this number of jobs were posted for this job title because actually people hate working in that particular job, or you know, or there's a big employer on Ireland that tends to hire amongst that job title, and that's a challenge. What would be really good would be net new jobs rather than every time a job associated
there was one that, didn't register. If they were to do it manually, they wouldn't have maybe written this good in the cover letter, but they were totally qualified. So I think, yeah, it can also help, platforms like this can help people who might, might not have writing skills, but not every job, requires writing skills. So that shouldn't limit, what they're eligible for.
And just to be clear, the website, we're not applying for the job via the website, right? We're just seeing the information.
Correct.
Okay.
I think it was also asked, if there was gonna be, a way to click through. I think I already worked that. I don't think you've added the link, but it's pretty easy. I can show you after too. There is a way to send a hyperlink to the job list. But it should be able to be used to click.
I didn't add it, but there's a link that we save as well. It is added to the Negotiate's website. And I did was thinking that, an idea that came to me was for the scholarships, if we could help students apply to these scholarships faster. There's documents, there's information that's needed, we can easily automate most of that.
Currently on the dashboard that is a scholarship, there's a link. Just want to see what's there. We have Ministry of Education. When you click on that, is it? Okay.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
that's nice.
So this page is nothing really exciting, it's just information. So, yeah.
Just had a question. Working with the younger generation, maybe Gen Zs, or what I've found as well is that sometimes they need to be assisted in seeing themselves in the opportunity. And where I can't generalize, there's a greater percentage than not that tend to go for things based on the lifestyle that will afford them, which is why we're here. But in that respect, that also looks to them like quality of life in pursuing an opportunity. How much freedom will I have? What hours do I have to work? Do I have my weekends off? Can I work from home? Those sorts of things. If it doesn't cover it now, is that a possibility for, add-on or enhancement in the future to not to deter them, but to help them see it is a valuable opportunity to pursue, because it will allow you to really live the life more than just the qualifications I need, what extra training I can get, the house I can afford. I can actually feel good doing this job, because people may understand that a legal career might demand a lot of hours from you, but you may not realize that also is required in another role, as well. So it also will help people when they go to think about a career change, not just the younger worker. How am I going to make this transition to this other, okay, you tell me what training I need, but you need to factor these other things as well. So sort of the visuals to see yourself in the opportunity. What is this really going to demand of you in making this? Because some people focus on the financial gain. You go for it, and then you realize, heck no, I didn't know that this is always going to be asked of me, because it was just a job description that I read or a job ad. I didn't fully understand the commitment to it.
No, that's a good point. And again, I think most of that data is already in the work portal. It's like the amount of hours that they require for you to and you would mention whether they expect to work overtime or not.
Yeah, because like pulling out the working conditions component, which is something that the ads could benefit from a tweak in the future, I think, is helping anyone looking at a job ad understand the working conditions. Not every ad will tell you have to work in 98-degree weather, or standing for 10, 12 hours, those sorts of things. You might want to get that granular, but just a general idea of, what all the job requires and how that builds into your goals for your future.
For sure. And stuff like that, we can add as a filter when you're searching for a job. Because again, that's the point of filters, right? There's different approaches and ways you want to search for information.
Yes.
And we can add that as a filter as well. And kind of hint Yeah.
I know I'm like taking all the airtime here. And it's because in the UK I work with a group that was part of Indeed.com and Glassdoor, so I've got a view and experience of this.
Yeah.
One thing that, and again, you're at early stages, so you're getting loads of input in you guys, when we literally just built this, and this is the first one through the demo, yeah, this is all in the pipeline. But just one thing that was really transformative for Indeed was that link to Glassdoor, which made employers and businesses more accountable for the employee experience in the workplace. So something that was really good, people can see at a glance, you know, the company associated with that job posting, how are they rated on Glassdoor, and how, you know, what comments have people left as part of working in that business. And I think that would be a really good thing for, you know, holding employers on Ireland to account for young people entering the workplace, that they know they're going to be rated on based on people currently in place, etc. It's not really anything like that in Cayman.
Can I answer? Well, if you don't mind, John.
Yeah, sure.
I think the approach here, particularly with this app, is using the data to best inform employers in which to fill the gaps that they need in order to empower people in their roles. So I feel like that's probably kind of different from Glassdoor, where Glassdoor's kind of like opening up issues that employees may have. So I feel like we're kind of looking for more positive aspects in terms of how employees to empower.
Totally, it can be Glassdoor can be a negative place, right?
Yeah.
But it does also hold, so, you know, if for example someone's thinking about being an investment advisor, there's a limited number of companies in Cayman that offer that job title. If I was planning my career as a young person again, I'd be thinking, right, where are my options to work, right? And what are the specifics with each of those companies? What do I understand culturally about those businesses? You know, what's the retention like within those businesses? When I look on someone's LinkedIn profile, are people being promoted from within? And you know, people shouldn't just make it, if they plan to stay on Ireland forever, it shouldn't just be based on what do I want to do. It should be what are the genuine onward opportunities. Is there only one or two big global employers on Ireland that hire for those roles, and are they really somewhere I would want to work, even if that is the kind of job that I would want to do?
Yeah.
So I can answer part of that. I try to do what you're describing.
Okay.
And one of the problems with that is for like job feedback on employers, there's very little data in the post.
Of course, yeah.
You can like guess, you can try to guess different reasons, but anything that was a professional job had very close to zero reviews of any sort. The only type of jobs that you could get like any sort of meaningful metric of is anything that is customer facing, and you can try to make some inference of the way customers rate the business. Probably they're partly a reflection of, you know, for the employees are miserable. The employees are miserable, probably the customers are miserable. You can only sort of make a rough correlation, but anything that's professional was very, yeah, I tried doing that, and the amount of like useful results I got was between 0 and 1. And I was going through I had my like scripts using my AI. I would go through the first 100 results of Google and like do multiple searches for every company. I did this for all like 1,000 jobs, and it has like, yeah, the average useful number of like sources cited was 1 or 0, and usually that one was like the only information gained was where the employer address was. Actual feedback.
And it's a shame because there are some businesses, you know, captive insurance market, for example, on Ireland. I don't speak to any young Caymanians or students that say I want to work in captive insurance. But I know from a professional standpoint, when those jobs come up in those companies on Ireland, people already in that profession jump to them because they've got the best reputations for flexible working, great pay. People love working in those businesses, so retention's high and those jobs are snapped up when they come on the market. And I think if people knew about these great businesses in these roles that they maybe don't know right now, they might think, do you know what? This is a growing industry, a growing market. People tend to love it and love working into Kensington or GCM. They've just got no idea that these things exist and people love working there. So it's not about avoiding bad businesses, it's sometimes like how can we promote really good businesses
because as they want the employee to be perfect at their job, they need to be perfect in providing a good environment for work, like peaceful, no drama, these things, because that affects your health. So that should be actually good. I mean, it's kind of difficult to do it here because even when you release your image, sign something that you're not gonna say this and this and that. But guys, we're just gonna wrap up, give it the time.
So, if I may. Okay, well, thanks. Thank you to Mary. Very impressive, and I think the future for, what you've delivered already is tremendous, and I think it's going to be very helpful to young people in particular, and to career changing. People are looking to change careers. I think it's going to give them, it's a resource that up until today, before today, did not exist. I think they're going to find it very useful and very helpful. And then part of the role of this group and the CICSS and is going to be to continue to develop it, to add features, to add things to it that will make it even more useful in the years ahead. And that's going to be part of the fun for this group. So looking forward to the work in the months and years ahead. So again, thank you very much. All right, I would like to invite Minister Miles to say a few words, if you would like, please.
Thank you for inviting me. First of all, Charlie, Shannon, Mary, and David, thank you guys for presenting. Team Tanya, Ms. Catherine, and Ronaldo and his team up here. It's always an honor to be here to see groundbreaking innovations like this. When I was invited here the first time to talk about a hackathon, I didn't know what to expect. I thought they were hacking into something. That's how far back I am. My last machine was the Atari, so I'm familiar with the new technology today. 15 years ago, my oldest, who's now 30, was 15 years old. And as a proud dad, as I was getting her ready for college and for a life outside of my house, I started to ask her questions. I didn't have the help of going, I grew up in a single parent home, and my mother didn't know a lot about university because she never did. She didn't know a lot about careers because, she, was sort of raised in towards the ministry and kind of stuck with that. So when I was going off to college, and that was, fortunate for me, I got a football scholarship, and most parents today, they would fly up to the school and they go on a school tour. I didn't do that. I went over to Roberts Airport, she kissed me goodbye and said, come back with a degree. And I was 17 years old and I ended up in Kentucky, that I've never been in my life, and I had to figure it out. What I see in this art is possibility. And as I said, 15 years ago when I was sitting down with my daughter, I had already made a lot of mistakes as a student, as a young adult. I kind of figured stuff out. When I sat down with Gabby 15 years ago, one of the fundamental things I asked was, what sort of life do you want? And as a proud dad, I heard, Dad, I just want to be like you. And I was like, that's great, but really, what sort of life do you want? And I am a social worker. And as a social worker, we make a very modest salary. And when she said, I want to be like you, and when I was so proud, I'm like, you actually don't. You don't want to be like me. Like you're not going to make a lot of money. So I said, well, what sort of lifestyle do you live? So, because she is just posh. She's like, I want to drive a Bugatti, and I want to live there, and I want to do this. And I'm like, you are not going to be a social worker. Because you can't own a Bugatti and a social worker's son. So I walked my daughters through some of the things that's been created here. Because I wanted them to have realistic expectations about where they want to go. I've spent the last 35 years working with young people because I wanted to give back. I wanted to give a lot of the hard knocks that I've had. I wanted to pay that forward. I have been fortunate to know a lot of phenomenal people who've graced my life and have poured into me. So my life as a social worker has evolved and morphed into so many things. Started off in social services, ended up in education, became a business owner, never thought I would do that, and now started a life in politics. I never thought I would ever do that. But along the way, what I have found is giving people information really inspires them to do far greater things. This app isn't going to solve every problem. And as I listen to the conversation, these days I try to listen more than I speak, because I learn so much more about where people are going. And as I listen to the conversation here, this is not the panacea of preparing every child for everything, but can it get them prepared to give them some insights of what I gave my daughter 15 years ago? Absolutely. Just understand we have an amazing opportunity in our country because we have smaller numbers. We're not dealing with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or even millions. We're dealing with hundreds. And our school system currently, and this is across the spectrum of public and private, we have maybe about 8,000 to 9,000 young people across the spectrum of schools. Currently, we've been generous, and I'm happy, Shannon, you guys have put the scholarship sort of opportunities on this, because the one thing that we consistently lack is going one place and finding the plethora of information you guys have put on this app. We don't have it. Kids are trying to search all over the place. As a small business owner who got into training and development, I helped a lot with that. I brought all of that information to the table to help young people just prepare better. It's not just young people, but I was having 50-year-olds transition to another world, to another life, to another this, to another that. I say all of that to say this. The app, I'm extremely impressed by. I believe that this app is going to revolutionize how we prepare young people, because it is at their fingertips. We don't have that right now. And as the Minister of Caymanian Employment, I can tell you, the number one thing that we struggle with in our country is employment. And we have more jobs than young people. And our young people struggle to understand really what they want to do, where they want to go. Because everyone is almost surviving it. Everyone is, hustling. And no one slows down long enough to say, okay, how can I get these kids ready? In our school system, we don't have professional career counselors, and that's a problem. We don't have professional career coaching, that's a problem. So we don't have this level of preparation. What you guys have done is given just about every young person or every person in our country an opportunity to have development at their fingertips. And that is power. All day, every day, I spend on reimagining what the Caymanians government can do with information. The ESO statistics that they're getting this information from, very few countries even have that data. And we don't use it. We don't weaponize the data to help our people move themselves forward. But guess what? Other countries are looking at our data and are moving into our countries to say, there's gaps here. I say to young folks all the time, I'm a fixer. I'm a natural fixer. And as long as there's things to be fixed, I'm going to get paid. Look at where the gaps are. That's what this helps with. So as we roll this out, my ministry is going to certainly be behind this. I would love to have conversations with you and how we promote it. Because I think that, and my heart tells me that this is going to be the key to reaching young people as young as 8, 9, 10 years old, because just about all of those kids have cell phones. So we have to be able, because we don't have the human capital to go into every school and hit every kid and teach every kid. We need to reach them somewhere else. Well, just about all of these young people have some sort of device that they're on. How do we amplify that? That's power. So as we roll this out, and you know, I spend a lot of time trying to get people to reduce barriers. I spend a lot of time trying to help sometimes civil servants get out of their way so you get the job done. And I'm going to say this here, your questions have been phenomenal, but please don't put more barriers up for this up. I think we're on the right road, and as we build it, let's spread the word, because you're going to help some kid out there to just reimagine where he or she wants to go in life. And that is power, man. It is the most fantastic thing when you grace a person's life and that bulb goes off. It is one of the best feelings that I've ever had. It's more than money. I can't tell you what that rush is when that bulb goes off for an individual, and I can see the bulb going off thousands of times for our people as they get this and start to use it and roll it out. Help us do that. Help us move the app into the public domain as they finalize it. Help us spread it with your family members, with your children, your grandchildren, your friends, your neighbors. That is how we change this country. That is how we amplify the power that we have. Because Cayman is not short of opportunity. Everyone in this room knows that. What we are short of is making sure that young people understand where the opportunities are. You know, I love some of the questions that you asked about, you know, letting our people understand that simply just going into the legal profession or the accounting profession isn't the panacea. It's one of the things that I've been preaching for the last 8 years as I'm doing training. Because every time I speak to a kid and I say, tell me what you want to do, well, I want to be a lawyer. You actually don't. You don't want to be a lawyer. You're regurgitating that up from someone, your mom or someone told you that. And they're like, you know, I actually want to be a captain of a boat. Now we're going to get somewhere. We have to have our young people and our people in general dream bigger. To understand that you don't need to follow your passion, you need to bring it with you. Right? That's what I've done. I knew nothing about business. If someone had told me at 17 years old that I'd be running a company, I'd say, hell no. Because none of my family ran a company. Why would I think that I would run a company? But I learned. Why? I had people saying, man, you can do this. I had teachers saying, man, the sky is not even a limit, like on what you can do. This art, I believe, provides us a roadmap. It leaves crumbs that young people can actually follow. Help us get the message out there. As the Minister of Caymanian Employment, I am firmly planted in the ground on where I'm at. I hold no aspirations of becoming a politician. My job is simply about service. This helps me serve better. As you guys roll this out, I'm going to get your numbers before I leave, because I think we have an opportunity to sit down. Charlie and I have already planned to meet in January, so we can have a sit down and see what else do we want to do. How do we not just make life easier for everyone, but make it to a point where it's more efficient. Because I can tell you one thing, everyone in this room that's successful, your life wasn't easy, right?
Right.
So why are we making it easy for our kids? That is not real life. We need to make it more efficient for them, and we have technology. They're growing up in a time where they have technology all around them. We just need to give them the right technology to pave their way. But I am not about to tell young people that life should just be a click away and they can sit at home and drink rum and cokes all day and pretend that that's a job. Sorry, that is not. They absolutely have to get out and work hard and commit to the cause. So as we do this, as a community, I'm inspired by what I saw. Thank you guys for bringing this forward. I want to thank Charlie and his team for certainly keeping us on board with this, because oftentimes the government normally don't get involved in the innovation aspect of it. So I appreciate you inviting us to be part of this concept. But I want to also thank you for being here tonight, because you certainly could find a lot of other things to do. This is really a great opportunity for us. So thank you guys. I look forward to working with you. Charlie, I'm looking forward to working with you. Team, thank you guys. Catherine, please. Thank you guys. And thank you guys.
Okay, so I think that's it. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to our presenters and people who developed behind the scenes and supported. Thank you to everyone for being part of this. And thank you again for coming. And keep an eye on FutureMe Cayman. I think it's I agree with Ms. Maz. I think that what has been developed already, this is a tool that's going to make a difference in a lot of people's lives, just as it is, and we're just going to continue to make it better as we go. Thank you again. And, thank you for a little bit of networking session as well afterwards if you'd like to hang around.